Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I'm Richard and this is Lap of the World. And today we're going to be fixing a spastic speedometer on Liz's NSX by changing the vehicle speed sensor, so stick around. Right, so welcome back to the garage for the first time in a while as we are in preparations for NS Expo 2025, which is out in Seattle. 3,000 mile round trip, I think. And so it would be nice, Liz would appreciate having cruise control, and that means the speedometer working, which means we need to change the vehicle speed sensor on our car. Now, normally she would do this herself. However, given the compressed timeline, we were kind of playing to strengths to make sure we're ready in time. So I'm going to take care of the wrench spinning with her gracious permission. And it was also a good excuse to film this repair because this is one that I've done on my car, but it was prior to when I was doing stuff on YouTube. So if you've ever needed to know how to change a vehicle speed sensor on the transmission of a early first generation NSX, here you go. Stepping back a moment, let's explain a little better what led to doing this work. On the way to Mideast meet last year, Liz noted her speedometer decided to tender its resignation halfway there, dropping from a reasonable approximation for actual velocity to 0 miles per hour. It would later recover, work for a while, and then over time degraded to almost bouncing around. I'd seen this before on the way home from buying my own car in 2008, so here we are, and let's get to the replacement. To replace the vehicle speed sensor on your NSX, you'll need the following tools and supplies. In addition to the replacement sensor itself, you'll also want a replacement O-ring separately, not pictured here as the speed sensor doesn't come with one. You'll also need a ratchet with maybe a couple of extensions, a deep well 10mm socket, a pair of pliers to deal with some hose clamps, and 1 or 2 Phillips or JIS No. 2 screwdrivers. Moving to the left side of the engine bay, we're going to start by removing the air filter cover and optionally the throttle body inlet flex tube. This will clear the way for access to the speed sensor, which is on top of the transmission case, just aft and below the throttle body. With everything out of the way, removing the sensor unit is just a question of a wire connector and 2 10mm bolts. Ignore the obvious 12mm bolt here unless you need to get at the gear that feeds the sensor. Instead, the 2 10mm bolts for just the sensor are somewhat hidden on either side. It's worth noting that these bolts also hold the small heat shield in place, so the latter will be loose and could fall as you remove the sensor. To remove the sensor, you'll need to lightly wiggle and pull up from where it's mounted as it sits on a boss with an O-ring and a key pin that you don't want to bend on the way out. If all goes to plan, you should leave the engine bay with the sensor unit, heat shield, key pin, and O-ring. With the old unit removed, installation is more or less the reverse of disassembly. Remember to install a new O-ring, lubricated lightly with some motor oil or transmission fluid. Position the key pin in the transmission first, and then it also may help to pre-thread the bolts through both the sensor and heat shield before moving them into position, as aligning all the holes can be a little bit tricky working blind. So there you go. That is how to replace a vehicle speed sensor and hopefully fix a speedometer issue on an early NSX. That way Liz will have know how fast she's going all the time, as well as have functional cruise control for the couple thousand-mile round trip out to Seattle and back from Tennessee. Now, there are some caveats with this, that there are some other things that can go wrong. There are 2 other probably possible suspects, and that is we didn't change the gear that actually goes down to the transmission and interfaces with the gear set to feed this sending unit. In some cars, I know my old MR2, those were plastic gears and they could strip over time. I don't feel that's the case here. The gear is fine on our 320,000 mile car, so I don't think it's probably bad on this one. The other thing that can go wrong is the instrument cluster itself. If the capacitors start to go on an instrument cluster, you can also see this. I think in order of likelihood, the sending unit sensor that we just replaced, that is definitely the far and away the most likely culprit. I would say followed by that is probably maybe an issue with the cluster. So if you do this and you change this and you still have a problem, I would encourage you to fairly quickly send the cluster off to be rebuilt. I think SOS is doing that now. I know NSX Repair is winding down their business. Congrats, Brian, on your retirement. But they can have capacitors go bad in the cluster, which can eventually lead, the worst case on that is a fire. So I'll just put that out there, not to be fear-mongering or anything. But if you replace the vehicle speed sensor, it doesn't fix your speedometer problem. Probably due for a hard look at the cluster there, and probably a little bit of a rework. Not super expensive, but just kind of involved because you got to get it out of the car. Anyhow, we've covered that separately on the channel. Put a link up here somewhere. For now, though, yeah, we're going to go, from when we're filming this, we're going to go pick up the black car from its return from Europe in New York, and then we'll bring it back down here. We'll do some musical cars. It'll have a couple of things we'll need to do to it before it's ready to head off back across the country again. And then, yeah, you can look forward to following that, some more NS Expo vlogs. But for today, that's where we're going to leave it here. Hopefully you found the video informative, if not entertaining. As always, I'm Richard. This is Lap of the World. We'll see you guys all in the next video, if not at the track.